It's been a year since I released my last video about the F3. Another year has passed. I might well do another video. First of all, I would like to give a little history lesson. Vi kör en retake på den. It was unveiled at NAB in 2010, marketed as a affordable Super 35 digital cinema camera. Had a price of $16,000 and it was Sony's third Super 35 digital cinema camera. They also had the F35, which is a beast of a camera. I mean, it's like a rock. And they had another one called SRW9000PL. The camera had a low resolution, large CMOS sensor, much like the Sony A7S, which is a full frame camera but has low resolution. And it came in a small body, 3 SDI ports, 1 HDMI port, time code and gen lock, and it even has a USB port. This camera is a little bit like an Alexa. It's low in resolution but have nice looking colors, has pleasing skin tone, is a little bit noisy but more in a pleasing way. The footage from this camera is very flexible in post. If you record it externally in 10-bit 422 or above, it's very easy to color balance. The camera suffers from some imperfection. It has a problem with moire, shirts and patterns, straight lines. But if you're aware of it, you can try to avoid it, but sometimes it's just unavoidable and you have to simply live with it. And the image of this camera is very soft. Forget reframing in post. You have no resolution to play with. It can be very difficult to nail focus. It doesn't make it easier that the Ninja 5 doesn't display the image coming out of this camera correctly. It's even softer in the Atomos. I have emailed Atomos about this. I hope they can figure it out and fix it somehow. But I have a Portkeys EVF now, and the image is much clearer on that. So now I have more confidence using this camera where critical focus is an absolute necessity. Also, this camera is quite big, chunky and heavy. As it is right now, it comes in at around 10 kilograms. I like the camera to be heavy as long as it's balanced. I've tried to use it with an easy rig and I didn't like that one bit. First of all, you just look kind of awkward. It's difficult to move around with it and you get sweaty. I felt that the camera became unstable. Even though it's in balance, you get much more movement that you really don't need, and as soon as you start moving around with it, the camera just bounces. So I prefer shooting it just handheld or on the shoulder. Makes it more quick, and I was very close to purchasing a new camera, but I ended up putting together this Frankenstein of a camera rig instead. Kinda did the same thing when I was riding motorbikes. I bought older wrecked or clapped out old bikes and then spent the extra cash on customizing it to my needs and making it pretty and unique. My camera, it has the Triality Technica cinema housing, which means the old top handle and EVF is already removed, and this gives me way more options to customize this camera. Rails in the back, rails at the bottom, in the front, and rails on the top. Makes it so easy. You can just put the rails there and then you can move your equipment around to all your other cameras. and I record externally to the Ninja 5. Since this is a 1080p camera, a 500 gigabyte card gets you pretty much a full day of shooting. If you use the camera on the shoulder, you are always limited to your height. If you are filming children, you might have to put the camera down and film like this from the hip, and then I can just use the monitor. To kind of offset the camera, I have this small rig VCT Pro plate. Unfortunately, I don't have a big enough tripod to really support this camera. I mean, I can get it to work, but I need something like a Sachler 15 or something to really carry the weight of this camera. Before, when I was going on the shoulder, I always put the Ninja on the side in front of my face. But that's a problem because you need to kind of stay away from the monitor to really see what's going on. And then the camera, even though it's pretty stable, it gets very front heavy. And shoulder work, it's all about the balance. So you really need an EVF if you want to shoot from the shoulder. This is how cameras have always been used. It's been long, heavy, on the shoulder and with an EVF. I basically went for the EVF that I could afford with the best image quality. The EVF is kind of loud. This EVF is designed for the red camera, so it was actually a little bit more expensive than the models before. I think I paid like $300 more for the red version, but it was the only one that was in stock. It was in stock on their EU shop in the Netherlands, so I ordered it from there, and it still took me like 3 weeks to get it. I actually called them and asked, hey, where is the EVF? And it turns out they didn't actually have it in stock. They just had it in stock on their website, and then they came from China anyway. You can turn off the fan if you have a red camera, but there is no way to turn off the fan if you're not a red user. This EVF works with any other camera, except that you have to have this red adapter for it. I don't understand why Portkeys just didn't send a normal power cable for it. The cable coming from the D-tap, it's very short, so you need to put this somewhere close to where your D-tap is located. It makes it a little bit limited where you can put it. Another problem was finding a good bracket to put the EVF on. I had to buy the normal small rig EVF/monitor extension rail. And then I bought this piece, which is the small rig Sakuto EVF arm, because I wanted it to be an RE rosette instead of mounting it to the bottom. It has a different mounting thread, so I had to steal this from my hand grip to be able to use it with this. I think this is the best solution. I power all the accessories from a V-mount battery. I keep a BPU 68 battery inside the camera body at all time. If I lose power, the camera will still run and it will keep recording to the SD card. And in case I would ever run out of battery or have any problem, I can always skip the V-mount battery and I can use the D-tap port on the BPU battery, and now everything can run. And I get around almost 2 hours running all the accessories and the camera from one of these. Before, I used to arrive on set with my big camera bag with everything dismounted in the bag, and I would take a few minutes and assemble everything on spot. If you arrive and you have a client, you don't want to sit like half an hour putting a Lego together on the floor. I got a real camcorder bag for it, so as it is of now, it just sits built out and I can just take it out from the bag, mount the EVF, and then start to shoot. Having this camera and not a more expensive, newer camera, it has opened up the possibilities for me to buy all the other accessories that you really need if you're a professional cameraman, like the bags and the EVF and all the other accessories. If you are another F3 shooter, please let me know in the comments. I want to see who you are, and I want to see maybe some of your work. I know there's a lot of people out there still shooting with this camera.